it is done. If it is impossible, it will be done.
Yo, shout out to Evil Knievel. Obviously based my thumbnail on that. Had to do a little remix. Thanks to everyone that's here. I see Big Drink T as always. And Capricorn. They're always some of the first ones in here, so let me make sure I shout you guys out. Uncommon Sense. David Polk, Miss Pretty. How you guys doing? I covered this guy last time. My time is very limited to stream. Excuse me. By the way, it is your host, Andrew Jacksonville, coming straight out of Duval County. My time's very limited to stream, and I just had to shut it down the other night. I wanted to go last night, but it was my only night off where I didn't work in the morning, so I decided to just get as much sleep as I could. Sorry. So yeah, we're going to go over this guy a little bit more tonight, and I forgot to talk about the most important thing that I did want to talk about on that first stream, because I was thinking that last stream I did about this guy, like I feel like there was a good video there. If I could slice it all down, there's a good 15-20 minute video possibly, and then tonight I can add the part that I actually wanted that kind of would tie it all together. But there's more and more to talk about on this guy, Mr. Evil Konniver. But this is kind of how I see him too. Like they just drape him in American, or in Democrat, I should say. They drape him in Democrat. He's not wearing a flag. He's wearing Democrat, socialist. He's just straight up telling you. He's literally saying that's what he believes in, Democrat, socialist. The entire ideology of the left right now seems to be just anti-cis white male, and that's what he really appeals to. I went and checked out some of the Reddits. I'll see if I can pull the one up that I was looking at before, and it's insane that these people don't see the double-mindedness of what he's talking about. A Muslim that supports LGBT and all this stuff, but he comes out and says right here straight up, we got to tax the white people. Where are the white people at? If you're white in the chat, throw up that number 1. I see them ones raining.
And on your web
versus overtime. Whoops.
So no plans to change. We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing.
He doesn't flinch, bro. It's like Obama on steroids. Like, yeah, fuck you, white people. We're gonna tax you more. He says white neighborhoods. So even if you're black, if you're what they would call an Uncle Tom and you're living in this gated community, he's going to hit you with this tax because you're not in the inner city with your brothers. But he admits it.
Race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of.
Whoops, I lost him. Let me go back. It's going to play another ad, though. I wanted that close-up of his face, man. There was some really good comments on the last video I did about this. I mean, it's pretty. It's obviously like plain and see-through. It's so bad. It's almost bad on purpose, like how see-through this guy is. And yeah, Skating Destroy says everything wrong in the world is our fault. White people he's talking about. I'm not even fully white. I'm half white, but it's pretty crazy that you're allowed to say things like that. You're allowed to say we're going to tax white neighborhoods. You're allowed to shit on Christianity just in public or as a public figure or anything. But you can't do the same about blacks or any other religion. You couldn't say F Buddhism or any of this. But on the last one, we talked about how this guy, he's 33 years old, supposedly. I can't pause it. It keeps bringing out this thing. So this guy, they say, is 33 years old. I mean, that's a hard 33, barely out of his 20s. And I think what this will get into over time, maybe soon, is they say he's born in Uganda and raised in a whole nother country before he came here. And clearly this guy's some kind of agent. It's kind of hard to, it's going to be impossible to pin down exactly where this guy would be from. Hold on a second here. I want to get to these comments from the last video because there were some really good ones about this guy. That last thumbnail was funny as hell. Losing my house. Where's the? Okay, now the one comment I want is not here. I gotta give me 1 second here. Caligari plan Uncommon Sense says we're gonna get into that tonight a little bit. That's one of the main things I actually did forget to talk. Well, I just ran out of time. I didn't have the time to talk about Caligari plan, and I think it was Uncommon Sense that left the other comment. I'm not seeing it right now, but let me read Uncommon Sense comment here. Caligari plan kicked off full steam with 9/11, then got supercharged into the continental European nation with Hillari's murder of Muammar Gaddafi. Libya was acting as a plug for most African migrants pushed out by violent regime change via inter-Muslim wars. Stopping in Libya, realizing Muammar had created a utopia for his people, his removal in the fall of Libya as a plug and catch-all. The violence spread further north into Libya and Morocco and flooding across the strait into Europe. Go to France, the Eiffel Tower precinct is lousy with gypsies grifting and African gangs ganging. More Africans in France than French, truly. That this is the Caligari plan. Just like the Talmudic and NGOs facilitating mass funneling of refugees from countries decimated by American Israeli bombings in their homelands and Chinese by the millions flooding through the criminally open border. You are under attack, make no mistake. This is white genocide. And I suspect that what's been done to date would rise to the legal standard of genocide against white and Native American populations, replaced with a slave class that will follow their Talmudic puppeteers at every whim. The comment I was looking for, though, was basically, oh, this is it right here. It is Uncommon Sense again. That says, have you ever seen the show The Americans? It was about two spies, like a husband and wife. I remember I watched it a few times, but so I couldn't tell you enough about it. But it was like a husband and wife that were just, it's like a front, and they're spies. He might have even had kids. I don't remember. But that's what he's saying. Welcome the Iranians. This guy and his wife was clearly some kind of definitely a foreign national agent. Absolutely right. And they're able to put him in New York with this money. And his wife was his wife. Let's see if I can pull up his wife real quick before I lose this article. I don't want to close out the article as I have up here. His wife ran some kind of art business. So she does art. And that's like the perfect front to like funnel money into. She could sell sketches for, hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever. And then that's a way you can just funnel money into this couple. And she's definitely young. I feel like to me, he looks like he's in his 40s, at least late 30s. They say he's 33. She looks a little bit younger. And it's hard to say where they could be from. They could be like Iranian. I guess there's no way you'll ever know. They could be Iranian agents. They could be Israeli agents posing as Iranian agents, right? Like there's multiple tiers of levels and nuance into this. It's hard to kind of see where it's going because there's just so many layers of subterfuge. It's hard. But yeah, but they claim they met on the Hinge dating app, and that she's got an art page I looked up on the last one. But yeah, they look almost the same ethnicity. Oh, is it not showing it? Damn it. What's showing that? I mean, are they both Iranian? They could possibly be Iranian. And the fact that they say this guy was born in Uganda and then I forgot where he moved after that, some other country, and came here. One of the streams I'm working on coming up real soon is going to be the authenticate all humans idea that Elon Musk floated about when he bought Twitter, that it was X amount. He said it was 40 to 60% bots or whatever it was. Or I don't remember the exact number. He might have even said more, but he was floating lightly like it was never an official plan of this idea that we got to authenticate all humans, make sure you're not a bot. And to me, that rides in with, if this guy is able to get there's already calls for like ICE to deport this guy and all this. People can sniff out that this is some bullshit. It's so obviously over the top bullshit. This guy you've never heard of comes out of nowhere, 33 years old, just basically saying bullshit talking points, and the media's covering him 24/7. People now, like, as conspiracies have gone mainstream, they're hip to this and they know what's going on. So you may even see that they're able to identify this guy as some kind of foreign agent or something, and it's going to create the need to push for people to be authenticated online and in reality, like in the real IRL, baby, where NPR has been covering this story about a new Trump national citizenship website where they'll be able to track people, like districts and counties for voting. Will be able to look for people and make sure they're actually citizens of the United States before they vote. And this is all going to tie into what they call that real ID that they just rolled out. And you're going to eventually need some type of like internet ID or something where you to get on the internet, you're going to have to prove you're not a bot, you're not AI. The rollout of AI is part of that. And I feel like this guy, this Zohran, what is his name? Zohran. I still don't even know the name. I've done my second stream in a row. The guy, Zohran Mamdani. Like, if they're able to show you this guy is some foreign agent or an asset of a foreign country, push through Uganda or they can push these agents through, like, real sketchy countries that are gonna pass out a birth certificate for a couple $1 million or whatever. They can build an entire backstory on these agents and bring them out. And so if that's able to be somehow put into the mix, it's going to create the demand for this type of thing, like a searchable database for officials for all Americans. It's already happening right here. And that's what Palantir and the Trump administration was doing together. And Trump's surrounded by all the big tech and pushing all that money into the new AI systems And the AI thing, remember the AI, whatever the billions of dollars that he's investing into the AI, none of that is public money. So that's all private money going in there. So you can't FOIA any of that shit. That's all private shit. It's going to be for this to on the surface level to make it look good and to make people want it. Hey, we don't want illegal people here. We don't want illegal people voting. We don't want illegal people. Doge has uncovered illegal people or dead people receiving benefits, Social Security, and all that. But sorry, I'm looking over the chat. I finally see EBT. It says Google's pushing it now after the Gmail password hacks. Yeah, they got that passkey system with its biometric where you put your thumbnail or thumbprint on there. So this is definitely where it's going. Consolidated, like an online passport, basically for you to get online. They'll allow you to have the facade of some kind of. You won't have to show your real name and real profile picture. I don't think, like a Facebook type thing. You'll still have the facade of being anonymous, but just to even get on, there's going to be some type of human credentials tied to a real ID, possibly, or some type of identification, like a physical identification. And that's why I feel like this guy could be part of that, where you get some guy that either wins or he gains huge populist support, and then Trump or whoever can come out and say, hey, this guy's just like Obama, fake birth certificate. Foreign nationals are trying to overthrow American governments by coming over here, trying to do it through voting systems, through democracy, even a takedown of democracy, possibly, because it's so easily manipulated. You just got to get people in there and into the system and then use the propaganda to push that out. This guy is one today. So this guy, I can already tell right away, this guy's really savvy. Like Trump has the flood the zone. He's got a different thing that you can talk about every day. He's a new talking point, new viral story for all the YouTubers to cover. This guy's doing the same shit already, I see. So his one today is he's saying billionaires shouldn't exist, basically. Let me see if there's a video of that. I'm not trying to read a whole. 19-minute video. Hold on a second.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since then betrayed. And when we talk about my politics, I call myself a democratic socialist in many ways inspired by the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There has to be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And as income inequality has declined nationwide, it has increased in New York City. And ultimately, what we need is a city where every single person can thrive.
I bet TVE's loving this guy, huh? I just looked quickly at a Reddit about what he was saying, and it was insane. Like the amount of support. Obviously, these Redditors are dipshits, but it's like a soundbite, just like Obama change. Yeah, we need change. Let's vote for Obama. This guy, billionaires bad. Yeah, billionaires bad. Let's go with it. This guy's 33. They say he's looking rough, man. For 33. Now, if he's 45 or something, he's looking good. The idea that these people have billions of dollars is like that's also a facade. It's the people have assets, they have stocks or whatever, things that aren't even tangible. They don't have like $1 billion in the bank. So for him to say we should tax billionaires and shit, like where does that even where, like, what's the parameters for that? It's just some bullshit talking point. There's no reality to that. Even if, let's say, okay, if you have more than $1 billion in the bank, we're gonna hit you with this 99% tax or whatever. Whatever, could make something up. Well, then these people will just spend enough money to where they like get underneath the threshold, right? They'll reinvest it in their companies or corporations. You can't base it on some unrealized capital gains in the form of stocks or anything like that. That shit could go to zero tomorrow. So I'm not sure. Like, it's something that sounds good. Like, yeah, billionaires have too much money, but I don't know how you would ever implement something like that. It's just pure bullshit, really. It's just a thing to pull the wool over these like Redditors' eyes, and they're like, yeah, man, tax them more. And obviously, if they're getting taxed more here, Trump's trying to bring manufacturing in here. Billionaires aren't going to come here and invest their money in manufacture here if they're getting taxed more. I mean, it's pretty common sense shit. Yeah, look at close the borders and seize their assets. So these people are really advocating for this type of theft from the government. It won't stop at billionaires. Then it will become millionaires. They'll say, okay, now we got rid of all the billionaires. However, they decided to do that. Well, guess what? Millionaires, you're next. So if you worked your whole life at Publix since you were 14 and had a nice little 401k and you have $1 million, well, now guess what? Fuck you right before your retirement. Or they can just use hyperinflation to make everyone a millionaire. Instead of $60,000 a year, you're going to make close to $1 million, but you still have the same buying power as what you have now, 60,000. But now you're taxed at a 95% rate or whatever. It's just it's such a nonsense bullshit idea to even float out there. But it's the perfect like viral thing to create a viral moment and to create this shareable link on X where people are going to share this and get the rage engagement in the chat. Right. Yeah, it's so crazy here though. How much this isn't the exact one I saw earlier. There's probably tons of different Reddits about it. Like, but they were just sucking him off for saying this. And this guy already in a short amount of time is one of the leading faces of the Democrat Party. They kicked David Hogg out. This guy kind of comes out of nowhere, and I mean, it's like him and AOC, and you could even say Bernie, like, but Bernie's obviously on his way out. Bernie's way too old. This is kind of all they have left, and especially as they were talking about, they wanted to appeal to younger men, and then you bring this guy out. He's like a younger man. They tell you he's a younger man. It's obviously all coordinated, and like I talked about on the last stream about him, is he seems like the anti JD Vance. Like, the guy's way too polished, way too smooth. There's definitely money in the machine is behind him. And on what I forgot to mention on the last stream is how politics is pro wrestling. You can just, since it's not real, you can put the push on anyone. You can put the rocket ship on the back of anyone and blast them off and get them out there. Just like in wrestling, I'm sure a lot of people heard of the guy named Goldberg back in the 90s. This guy, he just came out of the WCW power plant. He just got trained, and they put the rocket ship, put him right in the main event against Hulk Hogan, put him on TV for a couple months, and he had some connection with the audience. And they said, all right, we need a new star. We need a face. You know, we need new matches out here. Let's just run this guy out there. Goldberg versus Hogan, Goldberg versus Kevin Nash and the Giant. There's all kinds of money matches to be made. So you do need these new faces from time to time that get to skip the line if there's enough of a connection with the fans. And that's what I see happening with this dude. It's just straight to the top with this guy. Mayor of New York City. Never heard of him. Crazy, right? And I could even possibly see him and AOC like even breaking away from Democrats. The Democrat brand is so toxic. They're going to have to actively work to rebrand that, or maybe just kind of break away and become a whole new, like there was the Tea Party, which became MAGAism basically. Maybe you'll have the same shift on the left, so some type of new thing as they'll shift further and further to the left. We got XRP in the chat. Shout out to Illumitami. Got 68 people in here. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Miss Tranquil Vortex, good to see you. Yellowhammer, Jake, Crypto Alchemist, as always. Good one day, David Paul, Crosshatch, Rich. Got all the regulars in here. Stephen David, just out. Godheart Guardian. Let's go. Okay, let's go through these links real quick. I'm already like halfway through my time. Mr. Austin Murphy, good to see you. So him and his wife, obviously foreign national. I hate to say the word spies. They're agents. We're working on behalf of some other country. And let me look real quick because I already forgot. I got to cover this guy a lot. I feel like this guy's going to be the next Democrat big thing. I'm just trying to see where he was born. Yeah, so he's born in Uganda and then briefly lived in South Africa. Came to the U.S. when he was 7 years old after graduating from Bronx High School. So they're giving him that Bronx push too, just like AOC. They say she's from the Bronx, and she's actually from some surrounding suburb that's like super rich, conservative town. So that must poll well or something to say, yeah, I'm from the Bronx, baby. If you guys ever met somebody from New York, they always say that, like, man, I'm from New York, I'm from the Bronx, man, or whatever, wherever the fuck their little neighborhoods are. They're always shouting that shit out. He earned a bachelor's degree in Africana Studies. What the fuck? Zohran Mamdani. So what do they say he is? Do they say he's a Jeet? Mohammed Mamdani is his father. What the hell is this guy? Professor of government and a professor of anthropology and African studies. This guy's a spook too, then. But where is this guy from? So he's from Bombay, India. Yeah, so this dude is a Jeet. So they're trying to say this dude is a Jeet. Yeah, okay. This guy's a street shitter right here. And he's from Kampala, Uganda. And he's a Jeet like Kamala. Who's his mama? Mira Nair. Also from India. Yeah, so the story is he's a Jeet. A Jeet born in Uganda, raised in Africa. See, there's so much, like, it's like the little ball under the fucking cup game. There's so much shit going around in his past. You could easily create a whole past out of nothing. He's all over the world. And you could even get documents from these corrupt nations to prove that. Crazy. What was the other one? Hold on. On that last one, Trump said he needs to settle down or something.
Another twist in the mayor's race. Former Governor Cuomo will still be on the ballot, even though he lost the primary to Zohran Mamdani.
Political reporter Marcia Kramer is here with more on this. You kind of called this days ago.
Yeah.
Yo, dog.
Guys, Mayor Adams told
Is that Sylvia Brown from Montel, the little psychic? That shit's Sylvia Brown.
me a few weeks ago that the mayor's race this year is going to have more twists and turns than the Coney Island cyclone. And guess what? He's right. In addition to Cuomo being on the ballot, President Trump is now attacking the Queen's Assemblyman as well. Take a listen.
Like this communist from New York someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York.
President Trump on the offensive today, rallying the Democratic voters in his hometown, handed the victory in the Democratic mayoral primary to Zohran Mamdani, who identifies as a Democratic socialist, though
Even his like little stand he's in front of, it's like Zohran. It's like, what was that movie Big? Like Zoltan. Come see Zoltan, the little fortune teller machine. It's like the same fucking font, dude.
As a communist. It was unclear if the president was in some way trying to help Mayor Adams by claiming that Democrats like Mamdani want to raise people's taxes.
They say we will raise your taxes. And they elect people like this guy in New York that maybe has a chance.
This is sources tell me that former Governor Andrew Cuomo has decided to keep his name on the ballot as an independent candidate on the Fight and Deliver line he created. As he told me Wednesday, he is still mulling a decision about whether to actively campaign.
The Democratic primary is always an interesting situation, right? There are about...
See, the guy could be totally out there just to be a fall guy, just for something to come down the pipe with like his citizenship or something later. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Why would this guy like keep his name in the hat when he already stepped down, right?
About 5 million voters in New York City. There are about 8 million people in New York City. And about 1 million people vote in the Democratic primary. So it's not necessarily representative of the city at large.
Meanwhile, Mayor Adams, who formally announced his re-election campaign yesterday, was asked if he can still win if Cuomo stays in the race.
Yes, I do. I believe Andrew ran, and his numbers are clear on how he lost to Mamdani, and I think that we're going to come out with a very clear message, very direct message, and he doesn't have a record. I have a record. I can run on my record, and that's what I'm excited about, to let New Yorkers know about the record.
Damn, that's Dr. CB right there. Right there on the left, bro. Dr. CB next to him. Damn, they just smash you with these ads on here. You can't even close the thing. Crazy. And then one of his stances is like free buses, that we're just going to run the bus for free. I mean, it sounds like good if you're a dipshit. Like, oh, yeah, free bus. But it's just what's going to happen. Obviously, free bus, it's just going to be overrun with like homeless people and fucking hooligans and shit. No regular person's going to want to ever ride the bus, no matter how free it is, because it's just going to be a total fucking shit show on these buses. They're going to be banging needles and shit right on the bus. If you're a homeless guy, like it's raining out, or if it's 105 degrees out, why would you not just, oh, I'm going to go ride the bus for a while? Like, obviously, that's what's going to happen. Cuomo got that Ozempic body just outside. But yeah, it's more than just this dude. I'll start closing out some of these links. Hold on. It's about the Muslims taking hold of major Western cities worldwide, throughout the UK and now the United States. In New York, guys, the front runner. You got in Minnesota, you got Keith Ellison. You guys know that dude. He's a Muslim. I don't really understand why they've targeted Minnesota so hard. Maybe just like geographically, because it's kind of right in the middle of North America. Or what? Because they took over the east and west coast, and then it becomes like Minneapolis and Chicago, like huge fuckery from socialists, communists, and shit. So you have this guy, Keith Ellison, first Muslim in Congress, and obviously the other lady, Ilhan Omar, whatever her name is, Ilhan Omar. And there's a huge Muslim population, a bunch of Somalians in Minnesota. That's what makes that possible. So even if voting, you could even say voting, you know, we're all out here saying, oh, voting, it's a selection, it's not an election. Could be totally real. And just like they're saying, you just flood these Somalians in, flood these third worlders in, and then offer some free shit. Here's the Gibbs. Vote for me because I'm just like you. And then this is what happens. Minneapolis becomes the first U.S. city to allow Islamic prayer calls over speakers. You think of Minnesota, you think it's white, and like this is what it's like here.
Phillips Midtown, the most dangerous neighborhood in Minneapolis.
Crazy shit, dude. It's crazy to me because that's where I grew up. Like, it's so fucking nuts to see that. And then you have Tim Walz. I've covered before his connections to the Chinese, the Reds. That looks like the Basilica in downtown Minneapolis. Not sure why they're saying that's a call to prayer. That's just the Basilica, I think.
Occasion for inclusion. This is a momentous occasion for inclusion and freedom of religion in Minneapolis. With the stroke of this pen, we and our Muslim community will have the ability to hear the call to prayer in Adhan 5 times a day. But importantly, this is not just about our Muslim community. This is about all of us that have some form of faith or religion, from the church bells to the blow of the shofar to Adhan and the call to prayer. This is about inclusion, peace, and freedom of religion. Assalamu alaikum. And with this, inshallah, it is done.
Yes.
This is a momentous.
That's Jacob Frey. He's the mayor of Minneapolis. He kind of looks like Trudeau to me. I wonder if he's like his Trudeau's cousin or some shit. But this is what goes down, man, when you allow these populations to rise in there, and then they have money and they put pressure on the politicians to get what they want, and they even enter into the politics themselves. So that's what I wanted to read on the last stream. This was like super important that I wanted to read, and I totally forgot, or I should say I just ran out of time. So I'm going to read this, and then I'll go through a few more links after this real quick. And I've covered this one other time before, but it's super important to get it all together with all this. It's an Islamic takeover of Western countries. And then hopefully, if I have time, I can chop this all into one video, but I need this in here. How Islam progressively takes over countries. This article is from 2015, so it's 10 years old. Peter Hammond, he wrote a book called Slavery, Terrorism, and Islam. He documents the way Muslims slowly develop a presence in various countries. And as their population numbers build, they become more and more aggressive and assertive about exercising Sharia law. Islam is not a religion, nor is it a cult. It is in its fullest form. It is a complete, total, 100% system of life, he notes in his book. Islam has religious, legal, political, economic, social, and military components. The religious component is a beard for all other components. Their takeover of a country, what Dr. Hammond refers to as Islamization, begins when the population of Muslims reaches a critical mass as they begin to agitate for various privileges. I'm trying to make it bigger here. Hold on a second. Open, free, democratic societies are particularly vulnerable when politically correct, tolerant, and culturally diverse societies agree to Muslim demands for their religion's privileges. Some of other components tend to creep in as well, he notes. This is how it works, according to Dr. Hammond. When the Muslim population remains under 2% in a country, they will be seen primarily as a peace-loving minority and not as a threat to other citizens. This is the current situation in these are numbers that are 10 years old, so I'm not even going to go through them, but this is how it was 10 years ago. And if you look at, I guarantee all these, Australia, Canada, all these Western nations, I guarantee it spiked dramatically in the last 10 years. As the Muslim population reaches 2 to 5%, they begin to recruit for ethnic minorities and disaffected groups within prisons and street gangs. And this is where this guy, that Zohran guy, and he appeals to the gays and the trans and all that. It's the same thing. It's called Takia. They're allowed to lie as long as it helps them push forward their agenda. And again, these numbers here, these percentages are 10 years old, so I'm not even going to go through them. I'm sure they're all much higher in Western nations. From 5% on, they exercise an inordinate influence in proportion to their percentage of the population, Dr. Hammond notes. For example, they will push for the introduction of halal, clean by Islamic standards food, and increase pressure on supermarket chains to feature such foods on their shelves, along with threats for failure to comply. This is happening in 10 years ago, it was France, Philippines, Sweden, Switzerland. Soon, they begin to apply pressure to allow Sharia law within their own communities, sometimes ghettos. And they do have little Muslim, they have their own little police forces. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Probably able to find that. I'm not going to be able to find it fast enough. But they have, like, you've seen, like, there's like little community officers that aren't cops. It'd be like community action officer, whatever they call them. They have these. It's like Muslim patrols in Muslim neighborhoods. They already exist in the United States and in the UK. I'm not able to find. I'm looking on Twitter real quick. I'm not able to find it like immediately. Oh wait, here's one of them. Muslim community patrol, even in New York City, right here, driving cars that look identical to NYPD. This looks a lot like Sharia police in Brooklyn. So they're going to run around and police their own little neighborhoods. When Muslims approach 10% of the population, they tend to increase lawlessness as a means of complaint about their conditions. In Paris, we are already seeing car burnings. Any non-Muslim action offends Islam and results in uprising and threats, such as in Amsterdam, with opposition to Muhammad cartoons and films about Islam. And you see that even with the migrants that they put in Ireland or whatever, and then they'll put them all in kind of a somewhat nice place, a closed down old boys dormitory or something. And it's nice enough shit if you're some migrant and you needed somewhere to stay, but then they'll come out and they'll complain and they'll say, hey, we're not getting halal food. There's not enough air conditioning. There's not this, or there's not enough Wi-Fi or whatever. They're just constantly like making problems. The violence increases when Muslim population reaches 20%. After reaching 20%, nations can expect hair-trigger rioting, jihad militia formation, sporadic killings, and the burning of Christian churches and Jewish synagogues, such as in Ethiopia at the time of this writing. At 40%, nations experience widespread massacres, chronic terror attacks, and ongoing militia warfare. From 60%, persecution of non-believing infidels rises significantly, including sporadic ethnic cleansings or genocide, use of Sharia law as a weapon, and jizya, attacks placed on the infidels. You see that in these countries: Albania, Malaysia, Qatar, Sudan, 10 years ago. After 80%, expect daily intimidation and violent jihad, some state-run ethnic cleansing, and even some genocide as these nations drive out infidels and move towards a 100% Muslim society, which has been experienced in some degree in these countries here: Bangladesh, Egypt, Gaza, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Morocco, Pakistan, Palestine, Syria. A 100% Muslim society will theoretically usher in their version of peace. But the peace of Dar-e-Salam, the Islamic House of Peace, here there's supposed to be peace because everyone is a Muslim, and the madrasas are the only schools, and the Quran is the only word, such as in Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Yemen. Dr. Hammond observed this Islamic ideal is seldom realized. Unfortunately, peace is never achieved. As in these 100% states, the most radical Muslims intimidate and spew hatred and satisfy their bloodlust by killing less radical Muslims for a variety of reasons. Yeah, Godhard says Albert Pike's proposal in full effect. Yeah, that's actually, I did want to talk about that tonight, and I forgot to bring that link up. But that's what he basically said. World War III will be Christianity versus Islam. It's important to note, it's important to understand that in some countries with well under 100% Muslim populations, such as France, the minority Muslim populations live in ghettos within which they are 100% Muslim and within which they live by Sharia law, he states. Dr. Hammond is also concerned by demographic trends. Today's 1.5 billion Muslims make up 22% of the world's populations, but their birth rates dwarf the birth rates of Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, and all other believers. Muslims will exceed 50% of the world's population by the end of this century. And this is a little bit more current link here. Muslims are the fastest growing religion in the world. Yeah, they were 24%. Islam is the world's second largest religion after Christianity, is the fastest growing, and will exceed the number of Christians by the end of the century. So you guys got to get like me, start cream pieing, get these babies out. Got to get your old lady to shit these babies out. Get a couple concubines, shit these babies out, guys. You got to get out there. You got to do your part. You can't let these Jeets outbreed you. You can't let these Muslims outbreed you. You got to become Johnny Appleseed. Follow my lead, brothers. Follow my lead, brothers. This is where it's headed. We project 10% of all Europeans will be Muslim by 2050. That's crazy. Here's another article from, this is actually older, yeah. 2013, but Pew Research Center finds most Muslims desire Sharia as official law. So they that's what they want. They're outspoken of their stated goal is they want to implement Sharia law. That's what they want. It was face-to-face interviews in more than 80 languages in 39 countries over 4 years. That's what they tell someone face-to-face. This is what they want. They want to implement Sharia law. So it's already there in their country. So then they gotta expand the empire and move out. Let me start closing these out. Hold on. We got too many links open here. And it's called the Caligari Plan. It's been a staple of conspiracies ever since I've started getting into it. So it's funny to me now that when you go to Google, I'm on Yahoo here, but it's the same thing. If you go to Google, when you, let's say you're just getting into this, you've never heard of this shit. I heard someone talk about Caligari Plan. What is it? The first things you find when you get here, right here, top one, well, Wikipedia. It's a debunked far-right anti-Semitic white genocide conspiracy theory. Right here, debunked. That's what the words you're going to see. There is no Caligari Plan. These are the top results. The extinction of the white race. Another one, debunked far-right anti-Semitic white genocide theory. They're all going to say the same thing. Caligari worked to deliberately replace Europeans with a Eurasian Negroid mixed race in their own countries to displace Europeans. And I mean, you see it happening in real time, especially over the last like 5 to 10 years, especially 5 years. Like it's happening hardcore. But yeah, this right here, it says an alleged this is an alleged conspiracy. It's not happening. This is only a couple months old article too. They say this really isn't happening. It's just crazy people on the internet saying this. to wipe out people of Europe through mass immigration and racial mixing. This theory, which is spread in nationalist circles, has been shown to be based on serious misunderstandings and distortions of what these guys actually wrote. Caligari, what he actually wrote and meant: we must at all costs prevent large numbers of black workers and soldiers from immigrating to work to Europe. This is there's false quotes associated with it. Two completely fabricated quotes have greatly contributed to the myth. And this shit does happen, right? So they can like misquote something, even though the whole basis and foundation of the theory could be correct. And now they're translating it. This guy has been completely misquoted, and then it spreads just in memes. And most people think he did write this. But this is not a quote he actually said. The white races of Europe should be destroyed and replaced with a race of Eurasian Negroids that can be easily controlled by the elite. So just because he doesn't say that doesn't mean that's not what's actually happening. What's up, Spoonies? We got my Spoonies in the house. Yeah, throw them spoons out because I'm running out of energy. My energy is expending real fast. I got to be to work in like 4 hours, 3 hours. I'm just grinding for the summer. I feel called. I feel compelled to grind out the summer of Drew right here, bro. So I'm just gonna grind it out. And I'll probably I'm trying my best to stream tomorrow too, because I want to hit 20 streams in 30 days. These quotes do not appear in any of Caligari's writings, but are pure forgeries that have been spread on the internet. It can be attributed to Hitler being a sharp critic of Caligari's pan-European ideas, but not because Caligari wanted to annihilate the white race. Hitler disliked Caligari's ideas of democratic Europeanism and his support for Jewish emancipation. Hitler condescendingly called Caligari a cosmopolitan bastard and accused him of doing the business of the stock exchange and the Jewish journalists. That's what they always call them, the rootless cosmopolitans. So that's basically Hitler saying, yeah, this dude's a Jew. So it could even be like, yo, this is the whole plan here, and we're going to kind of slightly distort it when we bring it online. And then we can just say, well, look, it's completely debunked. Okay, I'm saying it wrong. Caligari plan. Okay, I think I say that because I went to school with this girl back in the day, and her name was Caligari. That's why I'm saying it like that. And then she grew up to become a cop. She had some humonga dungas, man. Now she's out there shaking him as a cop. Caligari plan. I'm going to always say Caligari. It's just, I'm hardwired from my classmate there. This was the one I was looking for earlier. So hold on. This was the one. Islam, soon to become fastest growing religion, soon to become the world's largest. This is from a few days ago only. So these are more accurate numbers here. Rich, $5. When are you dropping new merch? I have two I'm working on right now. I have one that's I'll just say it like, but I'm trying to figure out how to make it flow and look cool. So I said like fatigue or fatigued, and then underneath it, it's gonna say, you know, what's the little saying? It's like offended by everything. Whatever the fucking saying is, I already have it in there. Offended by everything, responsible for nothing, or whatever. I know you guys have seen that little comment everywhere. I know I'm totally butchering it right now. I can't think of it right now. Entitled to everything, contributed nothing. Whatever. I butchered it bad, but that's gonna be one of them. And then I have another one that's it's pretty dope. It's too hard to explain, but it's gonna be dope. Muslims increased by a staggering 347 million people from 2010 to 2020, more than the combined growth of all other major religions, and nearly 3 times the growth of Christianity during the same period. This surge is fueled by high birth rates, a youth-dominated age structure, and mass migration, particularly into Western nations. That's crazy. So yeah, they have so many kids, and then the state funds that shit, right? Like you just shit out a bunch of kids and get on the dole. According to Pew, Islam's global population grew from 1.6 billion in 2010 to approximately 1.94 billion in 2020, raising the Muslim share of the world's population from 23.8% to 25.6%. This makes Islam not only the fastest growing major religion, but the only one increasing its global share in nearly every region. High fertility and youth-dominated demographics. 33% of the global Muslim population is under the age of 15, compared to 27% of Christians and 19% of religiously unaffiliated. Median age of Muslims globally is 24, youngest of any religious group. Migration expands Islam's reach in the West. So the clergy plan is totally fake, Goy. But it's happening right before your eyes, but it's a totally debunked conspiracy theory. While the growth is driven primarily by births, migration plays a powerful role. Pew projects that Muslim population in Europe could reach 14% or more by 2050. So on that previous one, that was maybe like a 10-year-old report, they said 10% by 2050, the one that I just read. And now they've already increased that by 4% in a few years. So maybe it's closer to like 20% would be the actual number. Here's a good video to play here next. Hold on. The migration does not affect global totals. It dramatically reshapes the religious landscape of Western countries. Christianity declining. Future Islam to overtake Christianity by 2075. So in those other ones from 2013 and 2015, it said by the end of the century, so 2100. Now they've already bumped it up by 25 years. High fertility rates, young, medium age, high religious retention, migration-driven regional expansion. Christianity is expected to grow more slowly and continue losing global share. You guys got to get out here, man. You guys got to get out here. And even you old guys, you 50 years old, you can still shit out a few babies, man. Stop being selfish. You got the money. God will help you provide for these babies. Got to do it. It's our only chance. All right, here. Yasser Gaddafi calls for hundreds of Mamdani-style politicians to transform America. This is a video, and then I click it, and there's no video. Yeah, see, here's the call to, like, deport this guy. You lied on your N-400 naturalization forms. You're going home. So that's already, like, trending to deport this guy for some paperwork error or something. It's not Gaddafi. What's this guy's name? Kadhi, whoever this guy is. Some of our Dawa folks are busy debating the level of Mamdani's faith and commitment to Islam. The people this racisted, bigoted Islamophobe are appealing to, and sadly, they are in the tens of millions across this country, could care less regarding your idealistic, pietist categorizations of Mamdani and other politicians. Okay, I clicked the thing. It said video, and there ain't no damn video here. Here it is. It better not be long.
I just announced the primary winner in New York, and I'm getting a question. Thoughts on this? So, guys, very quickly, thoughts on this. Let's be very clear here. This person did not win because he's a Muslim, but he won in spite of being a Muslim.
I would say no. They whole liberal ideology and backlash of Donald Trump and everything is based on hating white people and hating Christianity. Absolutely. They can't admit it. No research will ever come out and say that. But that's the core root of it, is they've been programmed to hate white people, in my opinion.
And that is a civilizational victory. The campaigns launched against him explicitly brought in Islamophobia. Explicitly. There were websites that were calling him a jihadist, a stealth, this and that. There were literally the far right and the MAGA and the Trump supporters were literally saying that he's going to bring another, terrorist attack, or he's going to do this and that. The most vile, blatant Islamophobic tropes were being used publicly against him. Yesterday, he was interviewed by Stephen Colbert, and I posted this on my Twitter and Facebook. What blatant Islamophobia. Are you asking any other person of any other faith, how will the Muslims of New York feel? No, but because of him, how do you think the Jewish people of New York are going to feel? Nobody's asked about, do Palestinians deserve a state? He was asked, what is your views on Israel? What has the New York mayor got to do with Israel? The Islamophobia reached to the highest levels, and still he won. But let's be clear. This is a historic moment, no question. And it is a sign of integration. It's a sign of civilizational strength, but it also presents its challenges.
It's a sign of white guilt and people hating cis white males, even transgenders voting for a Muslim and shit.
Many Muslims themselves are wondering, how can a Muslim be a mayor when they're going to have to do things that are morally ambiguous, right? Sometimes our biggest critics are not from without, they're from within. And this requires an internal conversation. And the answer is not easy, but very simplistic. I've spoken about this in more detail. Politicians are not clerics. And it is high time the Muslim community attains a level of intellectual sensibility to differentiate a politician from a cleric. It is a very positive sign that the two most cosmopolitan and most prestigious cities in the Western world, London and New York, have Muslim mayors.
Rootless cosmopolitans, man. This is what I was trying to get to on that stream about. I don't think I laid it out enough. The stream about the schools. This is what the schools are producing. The schools are producing this type of shit right here. You're almost forced to send your kids to school. It's such a major commitment to homeschool. Most people aren't willing to do that. So when I said earlier, you gotta shit some kids out, y'all. I gotta rephrase that. You gotta shit some kids out, and then you gotta homeschool them. That's the only way you're gonna combat this shit. I'm doing my part. What are you guys doing?
How can you not understand that this is a sign of integration and acceptance? And they weren't elected because they're Muslim, but they were both elected in spite of being Muslim.
No, they're the demonic egregore that runs the woke mind virus creates people with white guilt and hating white people and white cisgender. So they're elected, because they're Muslim. If it was a Christian saying the same types of shit, saying I'm openly Christian, I'd like to do this, that, and the other, they would go against them because they're programmed to go against that. In
the Islamophobic climate, which means they were not just above average, they weren't just highly qualified.
Yeah, True Metal Jake says that's the only answer, bro. You have to outbreed them. That's the only answer. You can outbreed. Hey, bro, I'm doing my part, bro. I'm about to have number 7, bro. Where you guys at? You can outbreed them, or at least keep pace with them. We might have to start bringing concubines into the mix so that we really could outbreed them. Each guy gets a couple concubines or something. We can do it.
Fight.
You can't do it with that attitude.
They were so highly qualified that they overcame the odds of being a Muslim.
New Age Design's been talking about his family in here. He says, I'm moving to Florida for my son's high school years. I won't allow my only son to get destroyed. That shit's down here, bro. I talked about that, how the neighbor was allowing his 2nd grade boy to wear a dress and going to school in a dress. Makeup and girls' shoes, girls' pants, all this shit. The shit is here, bro. Like, yeah, maybe if you are in some rural bumfuck thing, it's probably not as much down in the South. But if you're anywhere near a major city, all that bullshit is here now, too. But we do need good people that are fighting against it to move down here instead of all these Yankees pushing that shit.
That is a very positive sign. And we should welcome and be thankful that this is a reality. As for the naysayers from without, well, this is not the time for gloating. There's never a time for gloating. This is not the time for arrogance. This is the time to win their hearts and minds.
This nigga's wearing a dress. Who's listening to this dude?
As for the naysayers from within our own ranks, our overzealous fundamentalists, and you know, for me, this is a pet peeve in particular, we need to, once again, educate them. You can't expect the mayor of New York to give khutbahs and durus about the reality of Islamic law. That's not what his purpose is. And if he says or does things that is not in accordance with our Sharia, I'm not condoning that. And that's why I personally don't like myself to be involved in politics, because there is a compromise you have to make at the spiritual level. But at the same time, there is good in this as well. We hope that people of conscience, people of faith, maximize the good and minimize the evil. And we leave their affair to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in this dunya, we cannot be so narrow-minded. And
yeah, I think they could scoop up all the, as crazy as it sounds, I think Islam could scoop up the feminists and the trans and all that. And I know it sounds insane, but these people are just desperately searching for like someone to strong arm them into some type of way. That they got strong armed into the queer ideology and the transgenderism. That was like a societal strong arm. They would be swept right up into the next thing. I could totally see that happening. They just blow with the wind. They have no foundation of anything that they truly believe in. And they're actually looking for something to believe in. That's why they latch on to feminism and transgenderism and everything, as paper thin as those ideologies are. They could easily get swept up into Islam.
so bigoted as to assume that a Muslim mayor is going to act and function as a Maulana Sahib, as an Imam Sahib. It doesn't work.
Judy says, I got 2 kids in their 20s. No way I'd bring a child into what's going on. It's the only way. It's the only way, man. When I'm gone, I got 2 boys that's going to pick up my slack. I got a bunch of girls. I can only hope for the best with the girls, but the boys, one of me now becomes 2. You know what I'm saying? Sure, they could go their own way, but they're young enough now, and I'm in a better spot in my life where I can make sure that they at least get that solid foundation when they're young. And even if they do stray and rebel, I think when they get older, they'll come back to it. This is going to be your future. You're going to be living under Sharia law if you don't do it. By 2075, it says that's 50 more years, bro. So right when we start passing away, that's the world we're going to leave our kids. Sharia law, Muslim-dominated world. Let me make sure I got all my links out here. I really wanted to get that one report of the, with the percentages increase. That's what I wanted more than anything. Here he is too. I don't think, we did cover that in the beginning where he says white neighborhoods should pay higher property tax. Just come straight on. It's like an Obama part 2, definitely. Just race baiting and agitating for sure. Just make sure I got all these links. There's not one that I just missed right away. All right, I think that's it. And hopefully I have enough here. I can clip both together if I have the time, and that's the problem. I don't know if I'll have the time to get them all together. Skate and destroy. You got to drop that cream pie, partner. It's our only chance. God made it as easy as he could for you, bro. Nothing could feel better, and you're just out here not doing it. You got to do it, bro. We're counting on you, Skate and Destroy. I appreciate everyone that was here. Yeah, I got to work in the morning, so I'm gonna have to shut her down. But look for me tomorrow. I'm gonna try my best. I can't promise, but a few different ideas of what I might want to do tomorrow. So we'll see. But I want to really try to get tomorrow so I can have 20 out of 30 days. The summer Drew. I'm here for you. Appreciate everyone that was here. Peace out.
If it is possible, it is done. If it is impossible, it will be done.
All right, you know, Evil Knievel, you know, he was knee deep in those full bushes. They didn't have that. They didn't have that AstroTurf mohawk back then. They didn't shave it into the Hitler. They didn't do that. Was Evil Knievel was diving in the bush, bro, for sure.